Okay, 10 people connected in the class. Welcome, everyone. So today we're going to talk about curtain walls and windows and doors. And we're going to populate our Mila house with those families. We're going to start with the windows, which is a fairly easy exercise. And then we will do the curtain walls, and I explain how you can create custom curtain walls and size them, modify them, and apply different type of panel materials. Again, for those who just connected, let me share again the link for the data sets today. Data sets. I don't think you can read the history of chats. There it goes. Click on the data set and download so that we are in the same page. This is where we left it off last time. This is the Mila house, exterior envelope completed. This is a thin layer of our roof representation. And the reason I decided to go that way is because the interior elevation of this house are expected to be very modern and sleek and nice. If I choose to use, and the structure of this roof, it's 1 inch in thickness, which is basically just the exterior side. In reality, we know that a roof is not built that way, but if I needed to represent the structural portion of this roof, I would build two, one that's on the infill, like in the exterior side of the roof, of the walls, and another one that is sitting on top of the exterior walls, which is exactly what I did here. And then what I did here is to extend the underside of the roof to the underside of extend the top of the wall to the underside of the roof. And so I get this nice, when I apply the line work, you can see that I have this nice representation of all the elevations. Apply the line weight, disable the line weight here. Switch this to shaded. So let's look at the ways to add and create windows and doors. This is the Mila house in the floor plan. I'm looking at the level 1. And the house has, I think, 2 exterior doors that are integrated to a storefront. So those doors, if you see the floor plan, here is the door swinging to the outside and the storefront. And then there's another one here. Then we have 2 types of windows, a large window that sits in front of every bedroom. And then a clerestory type of window that sits a little high in these positions. And so I think I have them loaded for you already. The windows, there's a family of windows here, fixed. These are all the different sizes, 16 by 24. Have a question? Okay. And when I look at the reference elevations, and I sort of measure this using the measure tool, this window is about 30 inches by 30 inches, 2'6" by 2'6". And the big windows are 5 feet by 5 feet. And the sill of the windows is about 2'6" from the ground level. So when I look at the window types available to me, notice that I don't have a 36 by 36, a 2'6" by 2'6" window type, nor I don't have a 5 by 5, 60 by 60. And so I think you know already the way of creating new types based on existing ones. So to recap, create new types. You access the type property. Then duplicate, then rename the family, and then finally change parameter values. And that's the process that we do with Windows, with all type of families that we just want to create new types. And so I'm going to pick the 36 by 72 type, right click and duplicate it. Duplicate that existing type. And rename it as it needs to be. It's a 60 inches by 60 inches window. Now this is just a duplicate of the 36 by 72. And in order to change the parameter value, just double click the window. And now we're going to access the dimensional parameters. These are the type properties. This is the equivalent of hitting the edit type button here. Upon selection, if you select something and click edit type, it opens the type properties. But I'm opening the type properties in the prior browser. And the width and the height of this new type, it's 60 inches by 60 inches, which is 5 by 5. So I'm gonna, the height, I'm gonna change the value to 5. And the width, I'm gonna change the value to 5 as well. Click apply. When you preview here, you can see how this type looks like. The preview is a visual way to understand. And you know, I picked the wrong one. I picked the wrong dimension parameter. This is the sill height. So the sill height is 2'6". And the width is what needs to be 5 feet. When you hit apply, it will re-update the preview here. Yep, and so if you zoom into this panel, it will tell you what the sill height is and what's the preview of the family to be added into the project. So height is 5, the width is 5, and then the rest just leave as is. I'm going to hit OK here, and I got a new wall, a new window type based on an existing one. And then the other window type that I need is the 2'6" by 2'6". So it's a 30 by 30 window type. I don't have that coming out of the box, but I can create a new type. So I'm going to pick the 24 by 24. Again, the same steps: duplicate, rename, and change parameter values. Right click on the 24 by 24 and duplicate it. We're going to call this 30-inch space by 30-inch. This is a new type. And now that I have a new name, double click to access the type parameters and change the parameter values. The height of this new type is 30 inches or 1. And the width, it's also 30 inches or 2'6". You can enter the dimension anyway. Either way, you can do 2'6" or 30 inch. Hit apply to see the preview updated. Hit OK. And so my windows are ready to be used. So I'm going to use 30 by 30 and 60 by 60. And my footprint in the level 1, give me a sense of what's the location for those. So let's start with the big windows, the 60 by 60. You know the tray, you click on it, drag it, and place it. Notice that Revit likes to use those temporary dimensions on the screen, like this guy is here and this guy here. And you sort of, in examples like this, you can almost feel the midpoint snapping as you move the window. So it's gonna snap to the midpoint, and that's where you wanna snap it. You can use the temporary dimensions to place elements equidistant to the walls. Otherwise, you will have to create a reference plane and allocate, adjust its relative location. You know, you create a reference plane, and then you can create a dimensional string, and then hit the equal in order to make that reference plane at the center, and then you place the window and snap it to that reference plane. I don't need to do this because Revit likes to snap to midpoints. And then 2 things to check. First is that this window, the windows also have orientation. So if I pick this window on the level 1, notice that the double arrow, this symbol that looks like this, that indicates the exterior side of the window. And so just click on this toggle to reverse the location. This has to do with the way the framing and the water flows on the trims. And so make sure you do use the right orientation. And then the second thing to check is the sill height. By default, it's 2'6" because that's embedded in the family. So there's nothing I need to do. I know for sure that this is in the right elevation, and you can double check on the parameter called sill height. Notice also that a Windows comes with a predefined mark value called 5. And you can tag windows using the instance mark. The instance mark is a value that is unique to the window, or you can use the type mark. And the type mark is another parameter under the type properties. You see how it says type mark 18. And so what that means is that when I tag this window, I can choose to tag the value, the unique value of the instance, or the value of the type. If I choose the type, then it's going to be the same value for all the windows of the same type. Or if I choose the instance mark, it's going to be a unique different number for every window. And let's try tagging. If you go to annotate, and then you hit tag by category, and then you select the window, notice that that's a tag. And the tag right now is displaying the type number, not the instance number. So when you tag something, Revit automatically snaps the tag to the geometrical center of these, the origin of their family. The origin of the family is usually the geometrical center. And you can place it as is. You can also change the size of this leader. You can have to click escape to cancel the command. If you want to like reposition this tag, you can click on this plus sign at the bottom of the tag to move it. And notice how the tip of the arrow leader doesn't get moved. This is just moving the tag, but it doesn't move the leader. And then this grip allow me to create an arm and an elbow. So depending how much information you have on the plan, you may choose to keep a straight arrow or an arm and an elbow arrow. And then to move the leader, or to remove the leader, there's companies that actually don't use leaders at all. And so you can disable the checkbox in the instance parameter that's called leader line. And then the tag, the leader will be gone, and then you can just move the tag and place it closer to the geometry. All right, let's put the rest of the windows. I'm going to add the big ones again. So I am in drag the 60 by 60 in the other bedroom. You can use the temporary dimension to snap to the center, and then make sure that the exterior side is facing the exterior and that the sill height is correct. Yeah. And then I'm going to do the other one, which is on the other bedroom. Again, it's going to snap to the center. That is the window, the exterior side, sill height, etc. And we can also, let's now place the smaller windows. I think there's one at the midpoint of this, another one here, and another one here. And those are 30 by 30. Okay, select the 30 by 30 window, drag, drop. You see, if you move slightly the mouse, that swaps the orientation. It makes the exterior move the exterior sides to either side of the location line of the wall. I want to place it here, and there's another one here. Place it here, and then there's another one like it's at the corner of this room. And I'll place it there. So there are three 30 by 30 windows. Now, if you look at the elevations, notice that there are also these clerestory windows on the entry. At the wall that hosts the entry doors. And they are at 9'4". They are on level M. So those windows they are not visible in this floor plan, but they are, you can sort of see a visual of those. I'm going to remove this. And there's a visual where that window sits right here. Oh, no. This is the door. This is the door into the room. So no, it's not visible in the floor plan. But we need to place it and then move the sill height 9'4". And those windows are also 5 by 5, I think. Yeah, these are 5 by 5. So let's place it the 60 by 60, drag and drop. Make sure the exterior side is in the appropriate side, so it's going to be right here. And let's go back and change the sill height. The sill height is level M. It's relative to levels, and the sill height is 0. 0 feet relative to level M. And it's going to move the window up. You can see it right here. That looks right. Go back to the level plan and let's do the other one. There's another window up, a clerestory window in this corner. Same thing, click the 60 by 60, drag and drop, snap to the corner of this room. Escape to cancel and select the window and associate with the level M at an elevation 0. And our 3D now has a complete set of windows. You can place windows in plan view. You can also do it in 3D. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to show you. I can create a window. Revit always remember the last window I created on the spot. But when you do it in 3D, it doesn't snap, like the sill height, it's relative to the mouse click. So you have less control on what the default sill height is. There's a default value that is embedded in the family. It's in the type properties of the family. But when you do it this way, you have to be careful about selecting the right sill height after its placement. And then the other thing is that when you do it in 3D, is that the windows are always going to inherit the property of the 3D working plane. Let me show you. So in the architectural tab, when I hit the show, this is the work plane in 3D, which is level 1. And so if I start adding windows in 3D, you risk that all the windows are going to be scheduled in level 1. And so, in my opinion, if you want to make it right and avoid, having windows in certain levels and in other levels, just do it in the floor plans. In a building small as the one we're doing, it's probably not that of a big deal. It's not critical, but for large commercial buildings, the level information is important. Okay, any question about windows and creating new types? You all with me? Anybody needs help or need me to repeat anything? Okay, let's just double check that I have all the windows here. All right, now we're going to focus on the curtain walls, which is this one and this one. So let me show you. I'm going to open my deck to talk about curtain wall. Save your file, and I'm going to show you the different method of creating curtain walls. Okay, so the out-of-the-box template provide this type of curtain walls families under, and they are listed under the wall types. So when you place a wall, like right at the bottom of the list of types in the type selector, you will find these 3 different types. And out of the box, they are called curtain wall 1, exterior glazing, and storefront. And although they all sound kind of a similar thing, in Revit world, there are different methods of creating a curtain wall. So the easy one to understand is the type that is called storefront. And this has been set up to be parametrically created. And what that means is that you don't interact manually with the storefront. All the properties of the storefront are defined via a dialog box. And the dialog box controls the distribution of the panels, the grids, and the mullions using a set of rules. And the storefront is the storefront height. The only thing a user does is to define the length and the height of the storefront, but then all the distribution of the panels is parametrically created. Then the other one that you're going to see, it's a type called curtain wall 1. And this is a custom way of creating a mullion, a curtain wall. It's a system in which you create a wall, a gigantic piece of glass as a partition, and then you subdivide this gigantic piece of glass into segments, into panels using vertical and horizontal grids. The grid can be across the entire length of the surface, or it could be subgrids inside panels. And so you have a greater flexibility in creating a specific type of aesthetic. And then after subdividing the glass panel into panels, then you place mullions. A mullion is a two-dimensional extrusion along the grid. There's other type like exterior glazing. The exterior glazing, it's intended to be used when you have slope conditions. So this could be, I don't know, if you have an incline or a sunroom or a special type of canopy or a waiting room or a lobby that has a featured lobby, then you can use the exterior glazing family to display sloping conditions. We don't use that very often, but maybe you could use it on your end. And then we have another type of curtain wall called the curtain wall system, which is derived from a conceptual mass phase. And so in order to use that, you need to have a conceptual model, which is like a mass object. And then you select the phase and it creates this curtain system based on the phase. We're not going to get too much into the last one, nor in the exterior glazing. But let me show you the curtain wall 1, or the custom created curtain wall, how it works. So in the world of Revit curtain walls, there are 3 elements. The curtain grids, which subdivide a gigantic piece of glazing, the mullions, and the curtain panels. And so the way you start this is the custom curtain wall 1 wall type. You create a gigantic piece of glazing. Your job is to define the first point, the second point, and the height. The height can be relative to a level, or it could be unconnected, to be a free float, a specific distance. You can also edit the wall profile in order to make it a shape other different from a rectangle. Then you subdivide this gigantic piece of glazing with grids. You can define grids across the entire wall in the vertical or the horizontal. You can also define subgrids, which will subdivide a panel into subpanels, like what I'm doing here on the screen. These are segments of a grid. This is not across the entire surface. And then you can manipulate the relative location of these grids using temporary dimensions, or if you want to be very precise, do it on a exterior elevation. You can manually move those grids to where they need to be. The mullion usually represents the center line of, the grid represents the center line of the mullion. Then we place mullions. These mullions can be manually placed individually. You can place mullion one grid at a time across the entire length of the surface, either on the vertical or the horizontal. You can place individual panel grids, mullions, or you can swap the type as well. The mullion is parametrically associated with the grid, so you cannot displace a mullion without displacing the grid. So in order to move a mullion, you have to move the grid first. Right? The mullion is following the path of the grid, and it's parametrically connected to the grid. Mullions are two-dimensional families. It's a profile, when you open a mullion profile, it's just a two-dimensional line. It's a loop of detail lines. And a lot of curtain wall manufacturers already provide these families to you. You can just download it. Like if you go to Cornier, for example, they have all the portfolio products in Revit format, and you can just pick and choose the type of curtain wall that you need. And so a lot of curtain wall manufacturers. The material is also listed as a parameter of the mullion, so you can change it from different metal chins, and also the panels can be swapped by other family types. So a panel is basically a wall, it's this weird wall type. You can basically select a panel and you can swap it with other panels, or you can swap it with wall types. So in this example, you see this dark panel as actually a wall type that is being applied, that is substituting a panel. And then a door, this is super important. Make note of this, like doors in curtain walls are panels. So you won't be able to place a typical door like we use on typical partition. We basically need to select the panel and swap it with a panel that looks like a door. And there's a special type of doors that comes out of the box. They are called curtain walls doors. And whenever you see the descriptor curtain wall, then that is a family that is appropriate for this type of panel types. But the curtain wall, this type of curtain doors will schedule along with the rest of the doors, even though they are created as panels. And then you can also tag them with the same type of tags that a door would be. So the exercise of placing a curtain wall door is an exercise by which you pick the panel and swap it with a door type and a door family that is special for curtain wall. Any question? All right, so let's jump into Revit. Oh, I did close it. Go back to the. Oh no, maybe I still have it. Yeah, it's open. Okay, so I'm going to open in the 3D space. Let's do a little. Let's go and play a little bit with curtain walls, all the different methods. So the first one is the storefront. So the way you create a curtain wall is completely parametrically using spacing rules nested in dialog boxes. So is the easy and more, is the most easy way of manipulating curtain walls. So you go into the architecture tab, hit a wall tool, and in the drop downs in the type selector, scroll all the way to the bottom, and then you see those 3 types of curtain walls: storefront, glazing, and curtain wall 1. Storefront is the one I was telling you that this is the easiest method, and this is parametrically created. So all the rules of subdivisions are controlled via a dialog box, including the spacing of the mullions and the type of mullions. The other one is the curtain wall 1, which is the this is the custom way of doing. This is more difficult to create. It involves more steps. It's custom, but it gives you greater flexibility because you can play with the, you can move away from the regular spacing rules, and you can flip and swap different panel types. Let's do one of each, and then we'll do this in the middle house. So on the walls, again, pick the drop down type selector, choose the storefront. This storefront is going to go from level 1 to the roof. Pay attention to the options. The location line on storefront, it's always either depending on how it's built, it's always the center line, or in this case, is the core face exterior. You see how this is grayed out, and I cannot do anything about it. So I'm going to click a point here and a point there, escape, and I'm going to do another one at the end of this one, 90 degrees. And let's see what's happening here. So that is a storefront. The spacing between and the sizes of the panels are driven by type parameters. So what does that mean? If you want to understand what are the different rules for spacing, access the type properties. So select the storefront and open the type properties. This is giving me a tabular display of how this behaves. So let me show you. As a curtain wall can have different functions. It can be exterior, it could be interior. The rest doesn't make sense. Foundations, retaining, those are mostly associated with wall types. Function sometimes is important because it enables you to narrow or to create packages for the different scope of work. Maybe commercially you can associate the exterior, you can associate the envelope curtain wall work to one contractor and then the one inside to another contractor. And the way to split it or separate them is by creating this function, which in schedules are helpful. You can schedule all the exterior ones to one package and all the interiors to curtain walls to another one. But for the most part, you can keep it as exterior. Automatically embed this checkbox is telling you that if this curtain wall enter in contact with a wall, it's going to automatically create an opening for it. If this is disable, these two entities are going to overlap, and you will have to manually create a custom profile in order to embed this curtain wall. The curtain panel is the type of family that is nested inside the curtain wall. So these blue curtain wall panel is called the glaze system panel. And you can create your own custom panel types. If you click this drop-down list, these are all the different things you can swap panel by. Now, also, keep in mind that if you make changes to the type properties, you're making changes to a specific type. So if you don't want to mess this type, make sure you duplicate it and rename it before making any changes. So let's do that. I'm going to duplicate the storefront type, and I'm going to call it storefront dash test, because we are testing it. And with this new type, I can make any change. So for example, look at the curtain panel. Right now it's glazed. I can replace this with a wall, for example. You can change this with the generic 4-inch brick. And you hit apply and hit OK. Then instead of panels, now I have walls. Again, edit type, I'm doing this. I'm making changes in the storefront test. I'm going to return it to the system panel. Notice also that there's one called empty system panel. You can use this if you don't want any panel to be displayed. And this could be the case, for example, of a parking lot, where you may just want to display some kind of trellis or something. Then you can remove the panel altogether. Again, select edit type. You can also replace it with system panels. There are solid ones and there are glazed ones. If you choose the solid one, for example, then this becomes dark. And in fact, you can duplicate the panel type and give it some color, for example, to create this solid panels instead of transparent, translucent panels. Let's continue playing with some properties of this. By properties, the join condition. This is the relationship of the connection between the vertical and the horizontal mullions. For example, if you notice in this example, the vertical mullions have predominance over the horizontal ones. So the vertical ones are the ones that are continuous. But you can swap this. You can change the join condition and make it horizontal grid condition. When you do that and hit OK, then sorry, it's the exterior. I need to change it to border and horizontal grid continuous. You hit apply, hit OK. I don't know why it's not changing it. Border and horizontal grid continuous. This should make the horizontal mullions continue. I don't understand what's going on. Another way to force that connection is to select the vertical mullion. You're going to see that right above the mullion. Let me disable the line weight. Yeah. You're going to see that each mullion received has this symbol, like a cross. That flips that condition on an instant by instant basis. So supposedly, if I click this, yeah, it will make the horizontal continue. If I click it again, it will make that continue. So you can choose to flip the mullions as needed. You select it, click that plus sign, and it will flip the orientation. Okay, continue the storefront. Let's check all the different layouts. So this is the vertical grid. It's a distribution. It's a distribution of equal distance elements at a maximum spacing of 5. What that means is that the distance between these vertical elements, it's 5 or bigger. So its distance is bigger than 5. So it cannot be smaller than 5. And Revit does the math for you. When you measure it, it's 5. It's a value higher than 5. Or you can do minimum distance. And that's the opposite. When you apply this rule, that means that the minimum space in between these is 5. And so it's going to be 5 or 6 or 7, whatever the math in Revit tells it. Again, I'm going to do the edit type here. The other rule is fixed distance. And this is when you want the panels to be a precise distance. So if all your panels needs to be 3 feet apart, change the layout to 3 feet and then hit apply. Let's change another one to 4 feet, hit apply. But notice that when you do fixed distance, there's going to be a residual panel. So there's a residual panel here that it's a leftover, and you have to deal with it. You need to find how to work with it. And that's why you sometimes the equal distribution are better when it comes to design exterior facades. All right, so the same rule. The other rule is this one. It says none. When I do this, Revit is going to delete grid lines, and I don't have any vertical distribution. I hit the delete grid button when you get a warning. And then the other one, it says fixed number. And fixed number, it's an instance parameter, meaning that you can only define the number of panels in the instance properties. So if you must have a certain number of panels, you can use the fixed number, hit OK. And then the number of elements, it's an instance property of the curtain wall. And so here is where you set it up. It says 5 panels, 5 grids, 5 grids, 6 panels. You can increase them or decrease them. I want 3. That means 3 grids, 4 panels. Or I can do 8. So that's 8 grids, 9 panels. That makes sense? This parameter is grayed out if we use another distribution method. So for example, if I go to edit type and I return this to maximum spacing of 4, you see how the number is grayed out. You cannot individually change it because it's driven by the internal math of that layout. Okay, so the same rules you see here are the same ones you will, and the other one, fixed number, I think I did that already. Fixed number, I did that. Fixed distance. Fixed distance is going to create a residual. And then you have none. One thing about fixed distance, I'm going to do fixed distance 5 feet. And so notice there is a residual here. And so when I select the curtain wall, notice that there is at the instance level, there is a vertical and a horizontal justification parameter. And this is a way to select where do you want the module to start. So in other words, if you want the residual panel to be at the end or the beginning. So just when I created this curtain wall, I click, this was my point 1, and this was my point 2. So point 1, point 2. This is the beginning of the curtain wall, and this is the end of the curtain wall. When the justifications say beginning, it means that the distribution of the panels are going to start from the beginning of that point, from the beginning point. So it's going to start counting the curtain walls, and then it's going to leave the residual at the end. If the justification is set to end, then it's going to, and I apply it, then it reverses, or it should reverse. I don't know why it's not doing it. Or maybe because I have, no, a fixed distance 5 on the vertical. Let's force it to be 4 feet. Vertical grid, and I'm doing the horizontal one. There you go. So when I say justification end, what that means is that the count of the equal panel is going to be from the end to the beginning. And so the residual panel is going to be the first thing you see in the curtain wall. And then when you say center, I'm going to pick the reference, curtain wall, and the vertical grid, now it says center. And so it does, it places a grid right at the middle, and it creates 2 residual panels. One will be one that are of equal size at the beginning and at the end.
Is there any indicator that tells you beginning and end in case you forget the sequence, or the order in which you drew the curtain wall?
No, like a visual.
Yeah, right.
That tells you what's the start and what's the end. No, I think let me see, if you tab.
I mean, I guess now that I think of it after saying out loud, it's easy to know. You just do the opposite if, for what you want to do. But
yeah, yeah, I was hoping that maybe the emollients give me a clue via the instance properties, but it doesn't. In particular, if you did not create the curtain wall, there's like visually no way to tell. Oh, I know what it is. So when you select the curtain wall, you see right here at the middle, there's this symbol. This symbol is a graphic way to understand the curtain wall, the grid system. And so this arrow here, these are telling you what is the start of the distribution system. And so right now, because it's the center, is right at the center. When I switch to the beginning, then the location, the visual location of these arrows, that's the beginning of the distribution.
okay.
And if you do the end, then the location of those arrows are telling you that's the end of the curtain wall. So that's the answer.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, so the repeating, when you select a curtain wall, you're going to see that at the center there is this symbol that give you access to the visual distribution of the grid distribution system. And so it is explained right here. And the location of this arrow, it's the start point. Like, and the same is on the horizontal. Right now, the horizontal grid, it says, so this is the start of the start of, this is the first point, this is the second point, and then this is the beginning of the sail height, this is the end of the horizontal, of the vertical grids. And so if I change these justifications, let's say the vertical grids now start, the horizontal grids start at the beginning. You see now how the arrow flips. So what's saying is that the distribution of the mullions are going to start from the bottom up, and then it's going to leave a residual at the very top. If you do this at the end, then the distribution of the mullions is going to start from the top of the wall, and it's going to have a residual panel at the bottom. Okay, this was my testing curtain wall, and I explained a lot of different concepts. I'm going to return the curtain panel to the system glazed. And this is a different family. This is the original storefront, so that's why it was unaffected by the changes we did. Look at the corner condition. Unlike the walls that generate these automatic connections, storefront does not generate automatic corner conditions, but we can force it to have seamless mullion type by utilizing corner mullions. So let me show you what that is. So out of the box, Revit has these 4 types of corner mullions. And these are specifically designed to replace adjacent mullions. And you have the L corner, quad corner, which is a square, trapezoid corners, and V corners. And the advantage of using this type of corner condition is that you won't see these overlapping mullions. The angle between the storefronts can vary, and these are going to adjust and flex without making strange geometrical lines. And it counts as a single element when it comes to scheduling. But the key to use these mullions is to make sure you pick the appropriate name. All these mullions have the word corner on it. Let me show you in Revit how that means. So in Revit, when you want to flip, when you want to swap a mullion, you select the mullion. Notice how the mullion is pinned, and the pin has a little link, chain link. It's very small, but it looks like this. Yeah, the symbol looks like this. And what that means is that it is a system pin that it's under the control of Revit. And so it's like a visual warning that you don't want to unpin this unless you are completely convinced that you want to liberate this element from the control of Revit. this element location, placement, and distribution is controlled parametrically using the Revit dialog box. And if we unpin system pin, Revit is going to lose its ability to control it to adjust it via the dialog box. And so, but we do this often. Sometimes there's a need to replace a mullion by another one, in particular those that hold some structural function and have a different profile. So you unpin it, and then you can swap this mullion from one type to another one. For example, here I just changed a mullion from one family to another one after unpinning it. If I repin it, Revit is going to return it to the system definitions in the dialog box. And so when we're trying to replace these mullions with corner conditions, we have to be in a 3D view, select a camera position that allow you to select all these 4 mullions, 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side, unpin them, and then replace it with a corner one. And so the available corner ones are the L corners, the quad corners, the trapezoid corners, and the V corners. Let's use the corner 5x5. It's an L corner. Revit is going to give you a warning that a couple of redundant mullions are going to be replaced, and that's okay. So you can delete them. And then I am left with a corner condition. Let me make this the primary one. There you go. So that is an L corner. And the beauty of this is also that this storefront can have a different angle connection, and the L corner will modify itself. It will displace its shape to accommodate the change of directions. And that's a specific property of the corner mullions. You want to change it with a different type. Again, select them in a 3D view and pick a different family. Make sure that the word corner is part of that. For example, the trapezoid one, 5-inch trapezoid. This is the trapezoid corner. Here at the bottom, I can make the corner be the primary one by clicking this plus sign. And same thing, you can change the direction of this storefront, and the corner condition will absorb changes in direction. It makes a very cleaner documentation. All right, so this is the parametric method. These are parametrically created storefronts. And then the other type is it's the custom one. It's take longer to build. You have to manually place each of the grids, mullions, and swap panels as needed. Let me show you first another thing here. If I want to add a door here, I need to clean the geometry to accommodate a door. That means deleting one of the mullions, the bottom mullions. So to delete a mullion, you select it on the screen, unpin it, and then hit the delete key, or just hit the delete button. And then this panel here can be replaced by a door, by another panel, by a different wall types. You will have, because this is a parametrically created method, all the elements here will display a push pin. So to select the panel, hover over the edge of the panel. So you see how my mouse approaches the end, the border of the panel, and then hit the tab key. And the tab key will pre-highlight the panel for you. And when it's pre-highlight, mouse click, unpin it, and then using the type selector, swap this by a different by a door type. I don't have the door loaded here. We're gonna load it in a second, but I'm just gonna flip this with a measuring wall. And now I have this combination of, a wall type embedded in a curtain wall. All right, so for loading doors, that's the procedure we're going to do. We're going to load some curtain wall doors into the project. So let's do this together because it's going to help us with the Mila house. Go to the insert, or let me double check because I think I have that. I downloaded that file in Google Drive, but let me just double check. So in the Google Drive, under the Mila folder, there's a folder called Families, and I have a bunch of families there that we're going to use in the model. And so like the cabinet, the kitchen cabinet, the toilets. So go ahead and pick all the, let me see if I can, I'll share with you the link of this folder. Share with Google Drive. Copy link. And this is the location of the families. There you go. So if you click on that, you can download all these RFA families. And you can select everything, all the families in that folder. I mean, I think if you click on that link, it's gonna zip it, the file, then you have to download it, unzip it, open the folder, and grab all the families that are RFA, and you can just drag it and drop it into the project. This is gonna load them in bulk. You don't have to load them one by one. So this is a quick way of, and also notice that it's upgrading them. I mean, I did the same exercise last year, and I didn't have a chance to upgrade those families, and so all those families are uploaded into the project. So I'll give you a minute to finish completing this. Again, go into the Google Drive, download the file, the zip file, unzip it, and then load all the families into the project. And it didn't load the door that I was hoping for. All right, but that's fine. Let's double check how the Mila pictures look like. So if you look at the storefront of this house, it's the door and the window are integrated in the same system. There's no like mullion, there's no intermediate mullions. and it's a wood door. It opens to the outside. And the easy way to build a wall like this is to create a storefront with a single panel. So in other words, what I'm saying is we're going to create a single panel storefront. Then we're going to add manually one grid. This grid will be replaced by a wood mullion. And then we're going to select this panel here, and we're going to replace it with a wood door. And so we have a system of the storefront and the door integrated into the same thing. And the same is true for the other side right here. All right, let's do that. So what I need for that storefront, let me do it first, and then we'll do it in the house. I'm going to show it first how it's done, and then we'll do it together. Or if you want to if you're fast enough to follow up, do it with me. Either way. But I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to create a new wall, and it's a storefront, and this is a placeholder. So this is the storefront. I need some type of wood mullions for the house. So I'm going to select one of the mullions, unpin it, and I need to change the material. So I edit the type, I duplicate it. I'm going to call it 2.5 by 5 rectangular wood. And the material, instead of being aluminum, I'm just going to grab a pine material or a wood material. I think if I search wood, and don't worry, I'm going to do this again if you fall behind. It looks like the main wood in this house, it's like a pine type of wood. I think I should have a pine wood here. The material browser stalls a little bit. Here are the woods in the project, and I'm going to pick, I don't know, I don't see any pine, but I'll pick the softwood lumber. There's no pattern, and that's fine. Softwood lumber. This is a new type of mullion with a different material. Hit apply, hit OK. Then what I'm going to do is change the distribution of this. So I'm going to select this and edit the type properties, duplicate it, and I'm going to call this storefront for the Mila house. And in this, for this house, there are no grids in the horizontal and no grids in the vertical. That's going to delete some grids, and now I have, this can be used as a window basically of any size. And because it's the type property, it says automatically embedded this checkbox. Whenever this storefront enter into contact with a wall, then it's going to be it's going to create the opening for you. The other thing I need to do in the type properties is to change the mullion types. So instead of the 2.5 rectangular, I'm going to make them all wood. Rectangular wood, which is the new type. Both in the horizontal and the vertical. And finally, I'm going to add a mullion. So on the architectural mullion, let me see if I can do that. Architecture curtain grid. So I'm going to place this grid. You see the temporary dimension, that's the size of the door, assuming that the door is 2'8". That is the door. I need to delete the bottom mullion. And I need to insert and load the curtain wall doors. So I go to the doors and I pick the curtain wall single glass. And don't worry, I will do it again. Tab select the mullion, unpin it, and swap it with the curtain wall single glass. And this curtain wall is very big, so I can change its relative height. And then this is what we're going to place in. I also can make the storefront to have a continued, like the border to be continuous. So in the type properties, I said the joint condition is the border and the horizontal grid continues. All right, so let's do it together. I know I went fast. I'm going to see, let's see where I was. I'm going to do. All right, here you go. So again, I'm going to delete this curtain wall because this was just for purposes, for demonstration purposes. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is to create a wood mullion. So all the mullions that are coming out of the box in this example are made of aluminum. I need one that is made of wood. So you're going to open on the project browser the curtain wall mullions, the rectangular mullions, the 2.5 rectangular, and then you're gonna the 2.5 by 5 rectangular curtain wall mullions. Right click, duplicate it, and I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna add the name wood at the end. So it's 2.5 by 5 rectangular wood. That's a new type based on an existing one. Families, curtain wall mullions, rectangular mullions, 2.5 by 5 rectangular wood. Then you double click the type. And the only thing I'm going to make a change here is the material. It's not going to be aluminum, it's going to be wood. Click the 3 little dots in the material cell and search for the softwood. It's there's a lumber softwood material here, or you can pick the wood you want. Softwood lumber. Hit OK. This is how I'm going to render. FYI, it has this fine image texture. So hit OK here. Hit apply. Hit OK. You know, I have the mullion I'm going to use for my new storefront. Any question here? Okay, let's build the storefront. You go to the architecture tab and then hit the wall tool. In the type selector, pick the storefront wall type. And we're going to create a storefront that goes from level 1 to level M. And I pick the first point, the second point, and then hit escape. So this is the wall. This is the storefront definition. I don't want to modify this type. So, and I need a storefront that's made of rectangular wooden elements that do not have vertical subdivisions. In order to do that, I have to duplicate the type and change parameter values. So select this wall type. You select the wall type by clicking on top of it. You know, when the selection of curtain wall elements is a little tricky because you can select the mullion, or you can select the panel, or you can select the entire system. When you see those double lines or double dash line, that's where you're selecting the entire wall type. So we're gonna edit the type, we're gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna call it the storefront dash Mila. This is a family built specifically for this project. And the things I'm going to change is I don't need vertical or horizontal grids. So change the vertical layout to none, the horizontal layout to none. So that means there's not going to be intermediate grids, only border ones. And then the mullions I'm going to use is the one I just created, the one that has the word wood. So I'm going to change all of this to wood. This is the mullion type I created in the previous step. It's now listed in this drop-down because it's part of the mullion category. No vertical grids, no horizontal grids. And the other thing is I want the border mullions to have a primacy over the vertical ones. And so the border and the horizontal grids are, no, the border and the horizontal grids are continuous. So yes, so click apply, click OK. It's okay to delete these grid lines. And now this is the storefront I'm going to place in the Mila house. Any question here? Anybody needs me to repeat any step? Okay, now the next step is to add the door. And so to add the door, I need to load a door family that is compatible with the storefronts. So you go to the insert tab, or let's do it. Yeah, insert tab and go to load Autodesk family. This is the cloud repository of families. So I'm going to close this window because all these birds are annoying. Okay, this is better. Load Autodesk family, and in here we're going to search for curtain wall doors, and they're going to be listed under the door category. And you see the first one that says door curtain, the ones that have the word curtain are compatible with the curtain walls. The rest of the doors only work with standard walls. You're not going to be able to use these doors with curtain. If we need to create a custom curtain wall, we can like duplicate the single panel one and get into the family and start making family editors, or you can search it online. So in this particular library, the only ones that you can use are these guys because it has the word curtain. The other doors are not compatible with a curtain wall system. So I'm going to pick the, again, I'm going to pick the curtain wall single panel, loaded. And this family is compatible with the, I don't know what it told me that it fails to download. Selected, loaded. What's going on? I can also load it from the local library. So I already did that. The door curtain wall single glass open, it will replace it. But if you were successful in loading it from the browser, cloud browser, then you should be okay as well. Oh, there you go. Now it worked. Go figure. All right, so we have the door. Now we need to add a grid for the door. So you go to Architecture tab, Grid. You go Curtain Grid. Place the grid 2 foot A, or yeah, 3 feet is fine. 3 feet, 2'6" away from 3 feet away from the edge from the other one. Then select the bottom mullion, unpin it and delete it. And then select tab, use the tab key to select the panel. The tab key allows you to cycle across all the elements that are underneath the panel, underneath the cursor. For example, this is a mullion, this is the shape handle, this is the panel. When you select the panel, unpin the panel, and using the type selector, swap it with the door curtain wall single glass family. Don't pick the icon. The icon is just a separator. It's just a header. This is not the family. So you just click the door curtain wall glass, and that is your door. And the final step is to, this goes from level 1 to level M. I think that's right. That's what we want, I think. No, it needs to be 7 feet. Now I remember. It needs to be the same height as this. So this is 2'6" plus 5. So that's 7'6". That's the height of this. It needs to match the head of the window. So to make these storefront of a certain height, make the top constraint unconnected and change the unconnected height to 7'6". There you go. And this storefront is ready to be placed in the Miller house. So I'm going to do this in the floor plan because it's easier to make changes there. So here's the total length of the this storefront is 9 foot. If you have something different, you can adjust the size of these just by changing the number to 9. I'm going to make 2 copies, one for one side and another for another side. And all I need to do is move it. Select this, use the move command from the end point of the curtain wall to where it needs to be. It needs to be right here. Oh, it probably needs to be a little larger. You see the footprint in the back. That's okay. You just grab the grip. It's 10'6". It's 10 foot even, sorry, 10 foot even. The door could be bigger as well. If we need a bigger door, then we need to change the location of the grid. And so let me show you how to do that quickly. You can, I think you can grab the grid directly from here. When you hover over a floor plan and you see that vertical line, that is the location of the grid. Again, I'm in the floor plan. You hover over and you see that vertical line popping up. That's where that's a pre-selection of the grid, and you can increase this to be 3 feet. Oh, it's bigger than 3 feet. 3'6". Yeah, that's quite right. Now we have this. I can maybe increase this by another couple of inches. And now that I have this, I copy it and place it here. So I can mirror it, or I can just copy and rotate. Copy this one here. And then select it and rotate. Rotate involves placing the rotation angle to 180 degrees. And then move it in place, move it from here to here. And let's look at this in 3D. There you go. That's my beautiful storefront looking to the inside. I know that the middle house is calling for a wood door. I didn't have a time to create one for you guys. But when we get to the family creation, we're going to talk about creating a custom door from scratch. So it'll be easier to come back and create that wood door, farmer's door or something like that. I don't need this one here. Yep, and I think this envelope is ready for exterior rendering. Okay, it's 7:10. Let me know if you need me to go over any thought and review any of these steps if you fall behind. I'm going to save this file and you can retrieve it from Google Drive now and compare it against what you did. Or you can stay after the class if you want me to go over some of your work, or you can watch the recording, which should be ready in a minute. Okay, for next class, we're going to finish the interior layout. Because I think we need to build some walls here and add some furniture. We already talked a lot about the finishes, but I think placing furniture is not a big task. So probably for next class, I will get the whole the whole interior layout ready for you. It's nothing of the other world. And we'll jump right into the rendering. We're going to try to place this building in the context of the Norwegian hills. We're going to use Twinmotion to create some light effects and enhance, create live renderings. And yeah, it's our Twinmotion day next Monday. Any trouble of you guys installing Twinmotion for Monday? I gave you the option of installing it as an add-in for Revit or as a standalone. What I'll do for Monday is to also provide the datasmith file for those who don't have Revit full version. Okay, any question, email me or stay over after this class, and have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, Cesar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cesar, I have a question. I don't know how to insert the mullion in the storefront.
Okay, so let's see. Do you want me? You want to share what you have?
Yeah, I can do that. Where's my share screen? Hold on. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so you're almost there. Go to the architecture tab, which you are, and then hit curtain grid.
Oh, curtain grid. I was at mullion. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And then it was 3.6.
3.6, yes.
Okay.
And then tab select the panel and swap it with the curtain wall. You can also delete that lower portion, but you see how the bottom mullion, it's continuous. What you want to do is select the vertical mullion.
The vertical?
Yeah, that one. Exactly, that one.
It's not. Whoops.
If you hit the tab key.
Yeah, I'm hitting the tab key. Is it just tab or do I have to push another button?
Oh, you know what's happening? I think you see how in the lower right, in the selection controls, those 5 little icons in the lower right side. There's a push pin.
There?
Yeah, look at the push pin icon. Yeah, disable it. And I forgot to mention that in class. And then, because if that is enabled, you won't be able to select.
Okay. There. So that's that. And then I just delete it.
Delete it, yeah.
Unpin it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And then I insert the door. I delete the.
Did you load the door family?
Yeah, I have the door.
So hover over the edge of that door and hit tab key to select it.
Oh, I didn't insert the door yet.
Yeah, so did you load it into the project?
It's in the family. I have curtain wall door.
Curtain wall door. It should be under doors.
Yeah.
Just check. There it is.
Yeah, here it is. Do I just drag it over?
No. You have to swap the panel using the type selector. So let's select the panel. Yeah, move the cursor to the boundary of the boundary of the door and hit the tab key.
Down here?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Mouse.
And do I delete that?
No, mouse select, and then in the property windows, which you have it in the lower.
What did you say, mouse select?
Yeah, just the left click.
Okay.
Yeah, unpin it.
Okay,
And then go to your property panels, which is next to the project browser. Yep. And using the type selector drop down. Yep. Choose the door, curtain wall, single glass. There.
okay,
Perfect. There you go.
all right.